Well, hello friends and followers. Here's the Cushman CE-6A service monitor, which I've been trying to fix, and of course I've been tearing it all apart. This thing had a short somewhere in the front panel, and it blew out the 20-volt power supply. There's 3 power supplies in this thing. I think there's a -5, or no, there's a +5. I want to say -12 or something, and then there's a +20 volts. So the +20 volts goes to most of the boards, and I blew out that power supply, so I put my little external 20-volt power supply on for now, just to get this thing going and see if I could get this thing to run. But it looks like it had a 20-volt power supply short somewhere in the cabling here. I could put no meter on the 20-volt line, and when I wiggled this around, it would go to 0 ohms and short. So I simply pulled the front panel off and moved it out to see what that would do. See if I could find the short. I didn't find the short, so I'm probably going to bolt the front panel back on. Anyway, this thing comes with a little board extender, so I've been trying to work on this board. This board is the amplifier mixer, and it has a discrete amplifier that will only fire if it gets a 100 hertz, I would say, reference signal from the VCO. This thing has 2 VCOs in it. It has a super high frequency VCO, which will go, I guess, to a gigahertz almost, and it's got a lower one, which I call the 100 hertz VCO, which runs at around 20 megahertz, and it will provide, I think, about a megahertz of addition or subtraction to the signal. So that's the one that's whacked. There's a really great guy who put a paper out on the internet, which I found, that goes through how to diagnose this thing, and so I've been wailing away at it. There's about 7 resistors that can be faulty. They're doing some games like they're storing charge in these 0.1 capacitors, so I got to check those out. Anyway, I've had the scope on here. This is a complicated instrument, but it's a really cool instrument. I would like to get it running again. It really, really is nice. I would love to have this thing running, just because it would be nice to have a signal generator to test all these radios and put a signal into these radios from a calibrated source. Of course, this won't be calibrated because I've probably messed all that up, but as you can see, there's a bunch of radios around here that could benefit from that thing in tuning them all up. But maybe it's just a point of pride that I want to figure this thing out, because it's really complicated. So, at any rate, if I turn this thing on, let's see if it'll come on. So now it's fired up. You can see the frequency is changing on the output. And that's because the VCO has like a seek mode. The lower voltage controlled oscillator, the 20 megahertz one, has like a mode where it seeks to get lock. So it's obviously not getting lock at all. And yet they have this like lock light on here, and I think this lock light only runs off of the big or high frequency VCO, and the small one doesn't really benefit from the lock light, so it kind of runs on its own. Kind of weird, but anyway, no, that's how I made it. So the most significant digit runs, of course, the high frequency VCO. And if I crank that around, you'll see the lock light will react. I can't get a lock on, I think, 6. Let's see, I'm on 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 6 doesn't lock. No, not really. 7. 8, I think 9 doesn't lock. Well, 8's not doing so well. 9, back to 0. That did all lock fine before I started fooling around with it, so I've kind of broken that. But my theory now is to get the low VCO working and get this to quit seeking, and if I can do that, then I figure I'll fix the high one later. The high works well enough now, at least on some bands, to get it figured out. So that's where I'm at. There's about 5 different test points on this board that you can go through. There's the scope. I really haven't gone through them all yet. I gotta verify if the correct voltage is coming in here or not. I really should fix the 20 volt power supply, because I hate having that external power supply on there, and get that squared away. There's just so much work. I do though want to get some success out of this thing before I really go hog wild. I thought about just tearing this whole thing apart and offering the boards on eBay, all the boards for like, I don't know, $1.99 or something. Take them all out, put them in a box and get rid of them, but I think there's a bit of pride here that I really should get this thing to go. So it would be cool to have it. Back when I was a young kid, 1975 or so, this would have been like the soup du jour to have. These were highly prized at two-way radio shops. I want to say Mobile Radio Associates of Washington, PA, Dennis Presky had one of these units. And probably many mobile shops all around the world. These were big time when you had FM communications radios in police cars and fire trucks and all that kind of thing. These were the method to tune those radios and make sure they're on spec. So this thing also goes down low enough in frequency that it could be used for ham radios. And what else is cool about it? It has a 10 megahertz IF, so the inserts that go in this thing basically divide down to 10 megahertz. So in theory, you could throw an antenna right smack on the input to the IF in this thing and get WWV, I would think. So we'll see if I can ever get it working, if that works. But yep, that's where I'm at. You'll see that the least significant digits, or the 4 knobs for least significant, will control the 20 megahertz VCO. And let's see if I can affect if I can affect this frequency here or not by changing that. I don't think I can. I think anything I do with the last 4 won't do anything to the frequency here, but I could be wrong. Let's see. No, it does. So that's interesting. So it means the 20 megahertz VCO is having an effect big time. So that means the VCO is running. It's not locked, but it's running. It's making an attempt as I'm turning this, and it's making an attempt. So anyway, yeah, I got, when you fix something that's complicated, you really have to get all the boards in your head, what they all do, and you got to really know all these boards innately before you can really then put it all together in your head, how this works, and tune it. I do know that these, I think, are all 10 positions for the voltage on the lower VCO, the 20 megahertz VCO. I think once this thing is running, these are either for calibration or they're for signal. I think for the VCO to have detents when you change the most significant digit here. That's what the literature says anyway, how to tune this thing. So yeah, I got to get this thing rolling. It's been an onerous project. Let's see the scope. Turn this thing on. So it's got 5 test points I've been looking at, and of course you want to see if some of them are dead or not. It's really complicated how this thing works, how the VCO works. I'm just glad the high frequency VCO is working. And from what the gentleman said, it was fixed his, this guy's like called Coast Electronics. He's in Oregon. He's a real genius that's fixed his CE-6A. Any rate, this thing has 5 test points on it. I did replace these capacitors here with some Chinese junk. Those were totally open. All they are is filter capacitors for the power coming in, so they don't do that much. But anyway, I think those two orange drops, I should replace those. Maybe I'll do that now and see if it makes a difference. These things basically will, I think, retain the sample charge, and they're essential. Maybe I'll do that and see what happens. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.